So let's have a little chat, shall we? Let's have a little occult chat. This is your host, The Occult View. What a day, what a day, what a day yesterday. So, so. So everyone has heard the sad news by now that Brother Panic has passed away. And most of you, I'm assuming most of the people that have subbed to me, well, I'm not going to say most, but some of the people that have subbed to me, they knew me from being over there with Panic in them for a short period of time. How I came to know Panic was shit, I went to him for some spiritual information. There were some things happening in my life that I really did not understand at the time. And he told me what it was. And, I developed a rapport with him. And I went on to his show a couple of times and I spoke. I did the lecture on androgyny. Um, and I developed a rapport with Panic. I don't consider, the thing is about me and Panic and myself is this. I never really considered him like a friend because he reminded me so much of an uncle that I had who passed away many years ago. And I think that is where I developed a certain amount of respect and love for him. And this was over a period of time, you know? And there was a misunderstanding that we had a few years ago, but it was really based upon other people that were around him. And I just couldn't believe that Panic would allow those people to, in a way, influence him. I mean, he flipped on me like, he didn't curse me out or anything like that, because I would have cussed him back. No disrespect to you, Panic, but I would have cussed your ass back, nigga, you know. But he flipped on me and he turned on me. It was a misunderstanding that was orchestrated by someone who is now, taking this as an opportunity to gratify themselves. Here's what I want to say about Brother Panic. Of course, people are going to be sad because people are going to miss that human interaction that they had with him. You know what I mean? Now, because he and I did not have that rapport anymore, I am not as broken up and sad as other people. I'm a little, I feel bad for his family and his close friends and associates, like Bob and the people that he was cool with and the people he grew up with in New York that he remained, cool with. I feel bad for them because they really liked him and they really loved him. And at one time, I felt the same way until we had that misunderstanding. But what I realized is about that misunderstanding, that was actually for my benefit. I did not see it then, but now I do see it because that misunderstanding was actually Panic telling me, see, Grant, you're better than this. You don't need me, you know, because I'm not going to be around much longer. So now I see why he distanced himself kind of away from me. Because had he not done that, I would have been like the people that I am seeing comment and reacting to his death. And from what I can see and what I have been seeing for the past 3 years, and I've been telling people, Panic has not been looking that great. I was very, very concerned about his health when I saw him one time when he did a live, and it was like he could barely, breathe. And then he came back and he looked like he was losing weight. But then he started looking not well. And then I noticed that he couldn't really, it looked like he couldn't really stand up that well, but that's neither here nor there. It's not my business, nor is it anyone else's business, the nature of his illness, if he had one. I don't know. That's not my business, you know. But I've seen him decline over the past 3 years. And it's interesting because, and I'll get back to the point that I was going to make. It's interesting because Panic has really been on my mind this past week or the past couple of weeks. He has really been on my mind. And I still check for his channel sometime. I'm not subscribed to his channel, of course, because I've graduated from that. I never was someone that was going to be around him all the time. And that just wasn't my forte. You know what I'm saying? Number one, I'm gay. And Panic didn't really care for gay people too much. I think he made an exception for me because I have some sense and I have some forms of enlightenment about me. I'm just a different type of gay person. So that is why I was able to appeal to him in a certain way because I'm a different type of gay. I'm an enlightened gay person. And he even said he had never really seen or met a conscious gay person until he met me. He had never really seen that. So I kind of won him over in a sense. You know what I mean? And he was, and I wasn't trying to, but I did. That's just me. I always went over the people that are a little bit more rougher around the edges. I always do. That's just what I do. And it's a natural thing. But um it was never my intention to be around forever with him or that. I had to go off and do my own thing. And I give gratitude that, you know, coming in contact with him, which was spiritually led, it helped to open up some doors for me. He didn't open them up, but being, connected to him in some way, I came in contact with some great people, some of them not so great anymore, but, nevertheless, I made some really good bonds. So I'm good with that. And then on top of that, Panic was very generous with me. I can't lie about that. He was very generous. He let me take his class for free. He was very kind to me. So going back to what I was saying, he knew, he knew, I knew that, well, I didn't know then, but I know now because even with misunderstandings and things like that of that nature, there is a opportunity for growth. And the sad thing is that the people that are commenting about his passing, I understand showing tribute and respect. I get that. I understand that. But these people are missing the point as to who Panic was and what he represented. Panic didn't want nobody mourning him. He didn't want nobody crying over him. That nigga all right. He all right. He was a trained death coach. He okay. But the comments that I'm seeing, it's people saying that they're stuck now and they don't know what to do because Panic is gone. And that is not where he wanted anybody to be. Now, I know he and I were not on the best of terms when he died, but I think I can speak for him when in saying this because he was the one He was the one that really helped me to, him and his wife, Khadijah, as well. They were the ones to really help me get clarity and understanding on Christopher Barry's death. They were the ones that they helped me through that spiritually. They helped me through that. In a way they did. And again, we are going to mourn, the life or whatever. I get that. But to, I've seen people say they're stuck in their spiritual journey. Well, the spiritual journey and your spiritual journey should not be predicated upon whether Brother Panic is alive or not. And that is what he taught. It shouldn't be predicated upon that. Of course, we have human emotions. Of course, we're going to be sad. I'm a little sad myself. I'm going to miss hearing him talk. You know, I'm going to miss hearing him talk. In a sense, I'm going to miss hearing him talk and things of that nature. But I'm not going to allow my emotions. And see, this is where the growth comes in. If you took his class and you really had a rapport with him, you would know how to deal with this. You know what I mean? Now, of course, Khadijah is going to be devastated. You know what I mean? Of course, his close friends, and of course, you know what I mean? That's different because they had personal relationships with him, but none of us had personal relationships with him. Why do people think they know people on the internet? I don't understand that. You did not know him like that. The only people that I think should be taking this personal are people that really knew him like that. I met Panic one time. I met him one time. We had a good rapport with each other, but we were not friends like that. He was generous towards me. We were friendly. We were friendly, but we weren't friends like that. It wasn't like I was going to his house eating dinner, nor would I have done it anyway. We just didn't have that type of rapport with each other. And that's okay. But I never want to get too attached to someone to the point where at least someone who's supposed to be a spiritual teacher or a master teacher, you're not supposed to make your spiritual journey about them. You are supposed to make it about your journey and your realizations. That is what you're supposed to make it about. It's not supposed to be about Panic or Bobby Hemmett or me or anyone. It's not supposed to be about that. If someone is bringing you a certain amount of enlightenment and a certain amount of information and wisdom, then you're supposed to take that, learn from it, do what you do with it, and then let the rest be the best. Just like people are still talking about Bobby Hemmett, you know? People are still talking about Bobby Hemmett. They're still making up all of these conspiracy theories and all of these things about Bobby Hemmett. I have my own, theories about Mr. Hemmett, but that's my personal theories, and I'm not going to put that out there because enough has already been put out. But at the end of the day, it's not about what happened to them. It is about what the legacy that they left behind. You know what I'm saying? And I know Mr. Hemmett is not deceased. At least I don't think he is. I don't know because I don't know him personally. But as it pertains to Brother Panic, he left behind a big spiritual legacy. And he was very generous with putting out information, giving people, 9-hour lectures. He was very generous in giving people a lot of information. And I hope they keep his channel up, and keep up his videos because not only will that generate some good revenue for his future, descendants, but they can also look and see how great this man was as a lecturer and an occultist. And even though me and Panic may have had a misunderstanding and disagreement or whatever the case may be, even though we had that, I'm not a fucking hater. I'm not going to sit here. Yeah, I said what I said about him in a couple of videos. I said what I said because I was hurt, and I stand by that because it didn't have to be this way per se. But then again, maybe it did. Maybe this is how it was supposed to be. Because when I really look at it in retrospect, the misunderstanding that he and I had, I grew from that. And then I got it. I said, aha, now I understand why Panic may have reacted the way he did towards me because he expects better from me. And I should expect better from myself. It's not my spiritual journey is not predicated upon Panic or anybody else. It's predicated upon me. And that is what he was trying to get people to understand. But people, they get into the God complex or the God effect. And it's okay to show admiration. It's okay to show love. It's okay for all of that. But when you, and I've heard other people say this too, but when you make it all about the teacher and you're not looking at your spirit or your ancestors, then that's a problem. That's a problem. No, this was spiritually led. No, my ancestors and my spirits are responsible for, or God or whatever you want to call it, is responsible for leading me certain places. And sometimes the places it may lead you, it may be challenging, but that's all for your spiritual growth. Think of it this way. Y'all know Panic really wasn't rocking with gay people like that. For me and the background that I come from, all of the homophobia and all of the abuse that I receive from black men, and then I meet a black man who's openly expressed, his views about gays or whatever, not on a physical level, but not on a spiritual level, because he didn't have anything against gay people spiritually, but that just wasn't his lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? And I respected that. But for me to come from the background that I did, and for Panic to be as open and warm and, respectful of me the way that he was, that was something that I needed for that time. Because it's been very few heterosexual men that have shown me any type of kindness and respect. And I can't lie about this. Panic showed me love, respect, and admiration. He showed me that. He showed me that. And it really touched me. It really touched me because I was, even when I met him, I met him, he gave me a big hug. And I'm not really a big, hugger. So when he hugged me, I was a bit taken back. That's why I say you don't know people. You don't know people. And now when I look at things in retrospect, this was supposed to happen. This was all part of my journey and my spiritual evolution. Even if some assholes had to be used, I'm not calling Panic an asshole. I'm talking about, the people that were, some of the men that were around him who had an issue with him embracing me. You feel what I'm saying? But in the end, this was for my betterment. This wasn't for theirs. Because the ones who had an issue with me, the ones who tried to, and who attempted to create discord between me and Panic, and it worked unfortunately on Panic's side. He allowed it to affect the rapport that we had with each other. Not me, but that's okay. Because again, it was supposed to happen. Because if it did not happen, then I would probably be just like them. And I remember he told me, he said, Seer Grant, if I ever do like a live on my YouTube channel, he said, don't even comment. He said, don't even say anything. He told me that. He said, don't. We were in class. He said, don't, because he was know what it was. He didn't say that. Let me rephrase that. He was telling me that he was live. And I told him, I said, yeah, I did see a couple of your lives. I said, but I don't really comment. I said, because it's too many weirdos in your comment section. And he said, you know what, you're right. He said, don't say anything. He said that you just don't comment. And I don't. And now I understand. I get it. I absolutely get it now. Everything is about your mind. And that is what he taught us. That's what we learned from his class. Everything is about your mind and your own interpretation. So his death, or even if he was still alive, that should not be the catalyst for your spiritual journey. But unfortunately, because a lot of people have abandonment issues, I have abandonment issues as well, but I'm working on mine. A lot of people have abandonment issues and they don't work on their issues. They don't work on them. They don't acknowledge them. They latch on to someone else. I saw someone make a comment that maybe BOB can carry the torch now. How about it's time for you all to start carrying your own torches instead of looking for another leader? There will be no more brother panics or Bobby Hemmets. Those brothers, they don't make them like that no more. And that's no disrespect against, BOB. But why are people looking for someone else to carry the torch? Why are you looking for someone else to do your spiritual work? It doesn't matter where you go. You can go to a witch, you can go to a reader. At the end of the day, whatever work they do for you, if they do work, whatever work is predicated upon what is in your heart. And if you don't believe that the work is going to work, it's not going to work. And it's the same concept when you're doing any type of spiritual work. It's all about what's in your heart, which is your mind. It's all about that. It's not about what they think about you. It's about what you think about yourself. How do you see yourself? So while I understand the tributes and, people being sad, of course I understand that. And I don't want anybody to take it the wrong way. I'm not saying you shouldn't be sad. What I'm saying is that your spiritual journey should not stop, nor should you be stuck. The people that are stuck, they're in the wrong field. If you're stuck because Brother Panic passed away, then you really don't respect his work. And you really didn't understand what he was about. It just means that you were a fan. And the person that I saw say this, he's just a fucking fan. He's a fucking weirdo. And unfortunately, Panic did not see it because Panic was a good guy. He had a good heart. You know what I'm saying? Panic really did have a good heart. He could be kind of mean sometimes, of course, but he had a good heart. He was never mean to me. We had a misunderstanding. He was never mean to me. He was never really mean to me. He was a little dismissive and cold, but he was never really mean to me. But like I said, that was all for a reason. Sometimes these master teachers, they are here to poke you a little bit. They are here to, upset you a little bit. And I understand that. It's not all about ice cream, cookies, and sweet and everything nice. It's not always about that. And, I remember, and I think I mentioned this earlier. If I didn't, I'm going to mention it. If I mentioned it earlier, forgive me. I don't know. But when I went to him years ago for a consultation, he said to me, you're one of the most advanced people that I've ever spoken to. And that is why I'm reacting the way that I'm reacting to his, transitioning. Because Panic, he told you basically 3 years ago that he was transitioning into something else or transforming. He told you that 3 years ago. But things be right in front of our faces and we don't really, we don't really see it. We really don't see it. So this has been a process. I've been watching his decline, physically, but spiritually, it's something totally different. So while I may have had a human error with him, I would never take away somebody's spirituality or hate on somebody's spirituality. I would never do that. You know, when I spoke about him, I was speaking about the disagreement that I had with him and coming into my own realizations about certain things. And that is what spiritual transformation is all about. It's about coming into your own realizations. It's not about being attached to the teacher because at some point you're going to have to let go. You're going to have to let go. That's why, I know I told y'all my soon to be ex-husband, But anyway, he and I we're at a peaceful place as of right now because it is what it is. But he's dealing with, the fact that his mother is not doing too well. And he really didn't know what to do and what to say when he called the hospital. So I had to tell him what to say. I've been through this before. I've been through this with sick relatives, sick friends. I know how to talk to the hospitals and how to locate people in the hospital. See, I know how to do all that. So I have a certain amount of wisdom with me. And see, with that, even though I feel sad for what's going on with his mother, but I also feel strength and compassion and wisdom because that is where your spiritual growth comes in. And just to give you an example, I've been through family members, friends. Let me tell you, when Christopher Barry died, I thought when Christopher Barry died, I ain't gonna be in this world no more. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I was contemplating suicide. A lot of people don't know that. I was contemplating suicide because I was in such a dark, bad place after Christopher Barry died because I loved him so much. The pain of that was so great because that was a soulmate connection. So I understand pain. And I also, and most importantly, I understand grief and I understand how to get through grief. And I'm not going to lie, Panic and them, they were there for me when that happened. Panic was there for me when that happened. He was. He was really there for me during that entire process. So I'm appreciative for that, grateful and appreciative for that. Now, anything that happened on a human level, that human bullshit, no, I didn't like some of how some things got down. I don't think I deserved to be, treated the way that I feel as though he treated me in that moment. But that was a moment. That wasn't the trajectory of our rapport. And then on top of that, the book that he recently wrote, The Seven Dark Laws, he mentioned me and the lecture I did on androgyny in that book. So how can I be mad? There's nothing to be mad about. And there's nothing to be sad about. Sad, of course, that we won't see him physically anymore. I get that. But your spiritual journey continues, niggas. It continues. It continues. It does not stop with him. Maybe somewhere along the line, because Panic used to joke and stuff like that, maybe somewhere along the way, some of you all got it mixed up. And I'm just looking at the things I'm seeing. Cry your eyes out, of course. Grieve, go through all of that because we're having a human experience. And anybody that says shouldn't nobody be crying and all that, well, people, when I say people shouldn't mourn, what I mean when I say that, I mean you should not allow this you shouldn't allow this to hinder your spiritual growth. That's what I mean when I say you shouldn't mourn. And you shouldn't be going looking for someone else to follow because now is the time for you to follow yourself. Now is the time for you to take the torch. Don't look for B.O.B. or nobody else to take the torch, nigga. You take the torch. It's time that you start to re-enlighten yourself or discover that you were never disenlightened in the first place. You chose to walk and act in your ignorance, like we all did. So we could rediscover who we really are. So that's my tribute, I guess you can say, to Brother Panic and, what he meant to me at a certain point in my life. See, when I first came in contact with him, I was really broken. He knew it. I knew it. I was broken. I was severely broken. When he and I had that misunderstanding, that was him. And I told everything. I said to him verbatim what I wanted to say to him. I said it straight up. He never said he never argued with me or anything. Because he knew that I wasn't coming from a malicious place. I just felt hurt. My human feelings were hurt because I felt like it could have been resolved. I felt like it could have been resolved. But then again, maybe there was nothing to resolve in the first place. Because isn't all of this shit an illusion anyway? It's all an illusion anyway. It's all an illusion. So, in retrospect and looking back, this is all about my mind. And I created in my mind a guide by the name of Brother Panic that helped me to get to another level. You know what I'm saying? Because we create each character in our lives in some ways. And I'm only speaking for myself. I'm not speaking for anyone else. Of course it's sad. It is sad. Because Panic was I think he was only 50, he's only 55. But, I guess he came and did what he was supposed to do. I don't want to speak for him per se, out of respect. I don't want to speak for him, but he came to do what he was supposed to do. And if that was done, if he didn't want to do it anymore, and I can tell Panic was tired. Even though other people, I could see that he was tired. He was tired. He was tired, you know? And, for the record, I do know what was going on with him health-wise, but I'm not going to say it, publicly because that's not my business. But I knew what was going on with him health-wise, at least partially. And what was going on with him, it takes a soldier to deal with that. It takes a real fucking soldier to deal with some of the things he was dealing with. And anyone that tries to degrade that, even though he and we didn't see eye to eye back, when we had that disagreement, anybody that tries to use this as an opportunity to shame, degrade, or to, be a nasty person, anybody that does that, you got your day coming too. You got your day coming too. What the fuck? Ain't nobody getting out of this motherfucker alive. None of us. None of us. So I don't understand why people, I've seen some videos where people are talking about, he should have done this more, he should have done that more. And the people that are talking, I'm looking at them and I'm like, people are taking it, child. But I don't want to talk about that. But at the end of the day, Panic was a good lecturer. He was a great occultist, and he was good for putting out a lot of information. And he wanted people to find themselves. He wanted people to be on their own spiritual path, and that's what he promoted. And he did not want people, you know, holding on to his pants strings. He didn't want people doing that. So if your spiritual journey stopped, or if you're stuck because a master teacher passed away, then you were never progressing in the first place, because your spiritual journey should not be predicated upon the teacher. The teacher is there to teach. And once the lesson is learned and over, it's over, and you're supposed to move on. And that's what I did. I moved on, and I began to create my own reality that was best for me. So I think that's really all that I wanted to say in reference to, Brother Panic's passing and transitioning. Um, I know a lot of people are going to miss him. A part of me will miss him. The part of him that was, good to me at that time. I did not have a rapport with him as who he was now, and that's okay. But your spiritual journey and your relationship with the God in you and your ancestors, it does not stop with Bobby Hemmett or Brother Panic. And that is what those two men were all about. That is what they were teaching people. You can always go to people for help and guides, and you can always do that. But at the end of the day, if your mind is not right, if your mind is not aligned right, like I've seen with certain people, their minds were never aligned right for this work. They were just looking for someone to follow. Like this one individual dude that I'm thinking about. He was just looking for someone to follow because his life is in such devastation and in such, desperation. He was just looking for someone to follow. And Panic has been like a father figure to a lot of these dudes, you know? Like I told you, he reminded me of my uncle, but he wasn't my uncle. He wasn't my uncle. I would say for a short period of time, he kind of took me up under his wing like he was my uncle. But when that time was over, even though it hurt, I respected that. And even though a lot of these people still had rapports with him, and even though they still got along with him, don't make no mistake about it, and don't think that Panic did not see their disease and their sickness and their inability to grow. But he still gave them a chance because maybe, again, I think he had a good heart in some ways. But don't think he did not see their sickness and disease, and then maybe he didn't. Maybe he didn't see it. I don't know. But at the end of the day, your spiritual journey should be about you, your spirits, and your ancestors, which is all within you. It should not be about Brother Panic. It should not be about Bobby Hemmett. It should not be about me. It should not be about anybody. If I see that someone wants to attach to me in an unhealthy way and want to be a follower and all of that type of shit, I block them and I cut them off. I cut them off at the path. I don't give no second chances. Because your spiritual journey is not about me. It's about you. I don't want anybody idolizing me. I don't want anybody, holding me to a certain a high regard. No, because I will disappoint you. I'm human. I'm having a human experience. I eat, I go to the bathroom, I make money, I do everything that any other human being is supposed to do. I have sex, I do all of the things that other humans are supposed to do. And so did Panic. So did Bobby Hemmett. Admiration, respect, I get it. But being stuck or allowing mourning to torment you is a problem, especially if you're not, again, if you're not looking at your ancestors and you're not looking at your spirits and you're so focused on them. I keep seeing so many people saying that Panic changed their lives. Okay, maybe he helped you to change your life, but Panic did not change your life. The self transformation and the work that you do changes your life. People can be an assistant, people can be a guide. But if you're saying that, if you're giving a whole nother person credit for changing your life, then you're a follower and you have a cult mentality. And I don't give a fuck who that offends. And Panic wasn't about that. He was about you doing the work and you transforming your life. He has said that in multiple videos. Don't be giving me no whole bunch of credit. I understand the love and all that, but this ain't about me. He has said that in multiple videos, so I'm not speaking in vain. So instead of you looking for somebody to carry the torch, how about you start carrying your own torch and start doing some real inner work? Not studying a book just so you can regurgitate it, but actually sitting still in your spirit. See, that's where the work begins. See, a lot of people can't do that. They can't sit still in their spirit and just let go. And as they say, let go and let God. And when they say let go and let God, they're talking about the God within you, the spark that's within you. Can you do that? See, that is what Panic was all about. He was about people tapping into the God within them, not making him their God. And that is why I am grateful that we did have the misunderstanding. I'm grateful for that because that took me to another level. That's what a master teacher does. There are students that they know that will always be in the first grade and they will never graduate. So those type of people, they have to be nice to them. They have to give them special attention. But the ones that they know that are more advanced, they're tougher on us. They're tougher on us. They're tougher on the ones that they know are more advanced. They're not going to coddle us. See, the dude that was talking shit about me in that interview that he did with Panic that time, that dude, he's coddled. No matter what Panic said about him. Panic already knew he had to be delicate with him. He didn't have to be delicate with me because I'm from tough. I'm tough. And I am not a first grader in this. I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. When I had my Akashic Records reading with his wife, Khadijah, she said that my soul is very, very, very old. Very, very, very old. So I've been through some shit. You hear me? I've been through some shit. I've had lives in other ancient civilizations. I was even, and I don't really like bringing it, but I was even a well-known guru on the continent of Asia. That popped up. I was a well-known guru. That popped up in one of my Akashic Records readings that Khadijah did for me. So I know my greatness. I know who I am. And now I understand. From the misunderstanding, I found understanding. And it doesn't matter if nobody didn't like me because I was gay. It don't matter if nobody didn't like me because I dressed up in drag in that interview with B.O.B. It just doesn't matter anymore. And it really doesn't. And to be honest with you, and this is no disrespect, it didn't matter how Panic felt about me at anymore at some point because it wasn't about him. It wasn't about him. It was about me. And just like it's not about him as it pertains to your spiritual journey, it's the same concept. It's not about his death. His death is his death. His transition is his transition. You're supposed to keep moving. Anyway, I think I've talked enough. Um, and that's all I have to say. You know, so as everybody's been saying, I'm going to say rise in power, Brother Panic, and rule forever in the quantum realm. And I say that because now he's one of the ancestors. You know, he's one of the ancestors. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Thanks.